The Sacramento Kings have become the feel-good story of the NBA. A team that has lived in the basement of the Western Conference since the Chris Webber era, they now find themselves in the hunt for the playoffs. But regardless of the outcome, it is the brand of basketball they are playing that has Kings fans excited. For so long they have struggled with three-point shooting, playing with pace and bringing energy and effort every night. But this season they are a new athletic force that still has some three-point shooting on the roster. The hype for this team has really surrounded De'Aaron Fox, the lightning-fast second-year point guard who is the engine of the offense for the Kings. His speed, handle, and now his pull-up jumper have been warping defenses and attracting double teams. And he's been using these to hit teammates with on-point passes when they are open. Plenty has been said about Fox and the potential he has to become one of the most devastating point guards in the NBA. I even did a video about him before the season, outlining a lot of the reasons why I thought he would succeed, which are now why he is succeeding now. For this reason, I want to shift the focus from Fox to the other key guard for the Sacramento Kings, Buddy Hield. The third-year shooting guard was once described as shooting like Steph Curry and being thick like Klay Thompson. People laughed ad nauseum after his first year in the league, as the bigger guard struggled to adjust to the pace of the NBA. But now, in his third season, he is beginning to truly come into his own on the up-tempo Sacramento Kings. Part of this is due to the increased pace, part of it is due to Hield improving and adjusting, and part of it is the coaching staff giving Buddy his rightful place in the starting lineup and making him one of the predominant focuses of the Sacramento offense. Hield is finally at the forefront of the offense, and the Kings are using him similarly to how you would imagine a team using a hybrid of Thompson and Curry. Like both of these guys, Buddy is constantly in motion, running off of screens, cutting back door, and back into the corner, and coming off dribble handoffs as well. All of these sets are primarily done to get him open for a spot-up three like Klay Thompson. Hield is exceptional at these, and has been draining his threes at 44.1% this season, an absolutely elite mark that places him in the best shooters in the league. This spacing has been key for the Kings, who have used it to open up the court for Fox and their big men like Willie Cauley-Stein. Teams are in constant fear of the shooting of Hield, as giving up any open three is a sin in the NBA, and giving up a three to a guy like Buddy is the worst possible outcome of any defensive possession. But not only can Hield shoot spot-up threes when he is wide open, he is like Kyle Korver and Steph Curry in that he can rise up with a very little amount of space. Buddy has put the work in and has the core strength to rise up when he isn't square up his shoulders, and then shoot when he is seemingly off balance. These shots almost always look terrible. The player is drifting left or right, or look like they are falling forwards or backwards. But for players like Buddy and Curry, all they need is their shoulders to be square to the basket. When they are, they go into their rehearsed, memorized shooting motion and let it fire. It might look strange, but it is repeatable. And for the elite shooters, it is effective. And this is what makes them so dangerous and have so much gravity on the court. Defenders are constantly worried about Hield pulling up, and it forces them to get too close to him. This is what in turn allows Hield to drive the basketball and attack defenses off of the dribble. Defenders have to come up so close that it allows him to put the ball on the deck and attack the rack. Buddy doesn't have the best dribble drive game in the league, but it's definitely above average. He can drive and pull up, and is strong enough to finish in the paint with a range of floaters and layups. He also has the ability to stop on a dime, pivot, go under his defender, or rise up for a fading jumper. But all of this is made far more effective by how close defenders have to come up to defend his jump shot. It allows Buddy to get defenders behind him on screens and have them commit to closing out on his three-point shots. When players run out at Buddy, they have to commit to essentially flying past him. Then he can drive past them and trap them behind him. The same thing happens on pick and rolls, as defenders have to respect his pull-up three and once again are trapped behind him. This gives him such a huge advantage on making plays off the dribble. If you think about it with a guy like Dwayne Wade, he was hugely successful driving and slashing into the paint during his entire career. But players could play off of him a little bit and didn't have to respect his three-point shot anywhere near as much as they do with Buddies. But Wade was far more talented off the dribble and therefore could still dominate in this area. Now imagine if Wade was a sniper like Hield. He would have had so much space to operate and could have been even more incredible during his athletic prime. This is how Hield can dominate without being an amazing off-dribble player. he has more space, more room to operate, and his experience throughout college as a first option scorer allows him to make use of it. When Buddy was in college, he was essentially the only truly talented scorer on his team. Hield played a full 4 years in college and was one of the best scorers in the NCAA. He would take incredibly tough 3-point shots and work the ball in the paint for fadeaways and layups. Hield was essentially unstoppable, and his size and speed allowed him to dominate college-level athletes. And now he is becoming more and more like this in the NBA. Buddy is scoring 20 points per game this season and scored 23 points per game in the month of December. Hield is becoming more and more comfortable driving and scoring, as well as dishing the rock. And by doing so, he has become a far more dynamic scorer. And by being a more dynamic scorer, his 3-point shot actually gets open even more. Take a player like Kyle Korver. Defenders will close out on him like there is no tomorrow. Because there isn't. Korver isn't going to punish teams off the dribble. He isn't going to drive in, pivot, and fade away in the paint. You stop his 3-point shot, and for the most part, you stop most of his offense. Now imagine if Korver could drive like a guy like James Harden or Dwayne Wade and still shoot like he does. Yeah, that would probably be one of the best shooting guards to ever play. Defenders wouldn't be able to close out as fast, and he would snipe threes more easily, and the shooting would open up the space for their drives. This is what is happening for Hield on a way smaller scale, and it is doing wonders for the Sacramento Kings. Not only does his shooting open up the space for his teammates, but his secondary driving provides options alongside Fox. If De'Aaron drives in and is cut off by the defense, then he can kick it out to Buddy. From here, Buddy can drive for himself, or if a scrambled defense makes a mistake, kick it out to another wide open teammate. The Kings don't have a huge amount of depth when it comes to their shooters, but they have good ones in Bjelica and Bogdanovic, and then Iman Shumpert has actually been splashing some shots in this season. When these guys are on the court, the Kings run an effective 4-out and 1 inside system. For all the memes and jokes about Vlade Divac being obsessed with big men, they aren't actually playing that many. Willie Cauley-Stein and Marvin Bagley are the primary bigs that get run. Then Costa Koufos and Zach Randolph spend a lot of the time on the bench and have hardly played this season, to be honest. Then there is Harry Giles, who is a very talented but raw big man. He is mainly playing limited minutes and spending a lot of time in the G League to develop. This is great for his development and will allow him to grow more accustomed to basketball again after a series of brutal injuries to his knees. It also means that the Kings are playing with a lot of skilled guys instead of throwing out 2 big guys and hoping for the best. They've finally adapted to the modern NBA, and the increased spacing and movement has seen a huge increase in productivity for Buddy Hield. Before, when he drove, there would usually be 2 bigs in the paint who could help off and stop his drives. This makes it super tough as the second big who doesn't help can sort of hedge to cover both of the Kings' bigs, making it tough to find an easy passing lane for an assist. Now when Buddy drives, there is only 1 big man down low most of the time. If the defending big comes to help, then he can throw a lob or hit a regular pass to his man for an easy score. The spacing also just means there is more room to maneuver off of the dribble. Defenders have to now be tight on Fox, Shumpert, Bogey and Bjelica, and it means they can't reach to try and disrupt Buddy's dribble without getting punished. With the lower level of pressure, Buddy is thriving, and showing why he was initially taken so highly in the draft, and then valued so highly by Sacramento in the DeMarcus Cousins trade. I honestly wouldn't be surprised if Buddy ended the season with a month where he averaged 25 points a game. Every single time he steps on the court, he looks more confident, as if he and his team believe he is going to torch the opposition every possession. And the beauty of it is the Kings have him on his cheap rookie contract for this year and the next. They have put together a roster of players that are young, with potential, and are on cheaper contracts, and they are giving them the playing time they need to develop. Hield and Fox are essentially locks for the Kings long term. They'll have them penciled in for their next playoff team at the guard positions, unless a trade that is too good to be true comes along, or either player drastically loses form. And then there is Marvin Bagley, who the Kings will hopefully have penciled in as their starting centre or power forward, and not their starting 3. There will be regrets within the organisation, and certainly outside of it, that they didn't take rookie phenom Luka Doncic. But this shouldn't distract from the fact that Marvin Bagley is an incredibly promising prospect in his own right. While he's only coming off of the bench for now, he does so with so much energy and talent. In those minutes, he brings the ball up at times, attacks in transition by running full court, and is just relentless on both ends of the glass. By being so relentless, he frequently creates extra chances that most players wouldn't have gotten. When backing down players in the post, Bagley actually has a surprising amount of strength. This throws defenders out of rebounding position, and this combined with his great second jump allows him to snag offensive rebounds. On top of this, he has such a diverse offensive game for a big. He can attack off of the dribble, shoot from the mid-range and the three-point line, and he can shoot off the dribble as well. All of these skills aren't perfectly refined, and there is a lot of room for improvement. But he's exceptionally young, and when he improves in these areas and puts it all together, he'll be unstoppable offensively. This means that he's almost definitely the Kings' big of the future, and I'd say this means Cauley Stein's time in Sacramento is coming to an end. The big fella started the season with an amazing amount of energy and had an impact on both ends of the court. But that has dropped off a bit, and he has struggled with turnovers and consistency defensively. Willie Cauley-Stein is frustrating as he seemingly has all the tools, but can't put it all together in one season. Kings fans will be hoping that the same isn't true for Bagley's future, and that he turns out more like Buddy Hield, who is really putting it together this season. Thanks for watching, guys. I hope you enjoyed the video, and if you did, be sure to leave a like, subscribe, and hit the bell for notifications as well. And let me know in the comments what you think of Buddy, Bagley, and the Sacramento Kings.